All right, let's talk about something that's super easy to put on the back burner, but is absolutely critical for your peace of mind, getting your family prepared for an emergency. And look, it's way simpler than you might think to get started, and we're going to break it all down step by step. Okay, let's just get right into it. I want you to pause for a second and really honestly ask yourself this question. The lights flicker and go out. Your phone has no service. You hear sirens in the distance. Do you know exactly what your next move is? Do you have everything you need? It's a pretty intense thought, I know, but facing it head on is the very first step. And look, if that last question made your heart race a little bit, that's exactly why we're here. This is not about being paranoid or living in fear. It is the complete opposite. It's about taking control so you can have genuine peace of mind. We're going to be walking through a fantastic guide from Virtualization Options LLC. They're a Colorado-based tech research and advisory group to build a really clear, actionable plan. So before we dive into checklists and start packing bags, we need to start with the why. Because understanding your motivation, well, that's what turns "I should probably do that" into "okay, I'm doing this today." Of course, the number one reason is protecting your family, right? But it goes deeper. It's about quieting that anxiety that comes from the unknown. It's about making sure your home is as safe as it can be. And here's something we don't always think about. When your family is prepared, you're not just helping yourselves. You're actually in a position to help your neighbors and support your community. All right, let's get practical. Section 2 is all about the tangible stuff, your emergency go kit. This is that bag, or maybe a bin, that you can literally grab and go, knowing it has what you need to get by. So what's the magic number in preparedness? It's 72. Your primary goal is to have enough stuff to be totally self-sufficient for 72 hours, 3 days. Why? Because in any large-scale emergency, it can easily take that long for help to arrive. Those first 3 days, you're on your own. And what is the single most important thing in that kit? Water. It's always water. The rule of thumb is simple: 1 gallon per person per day. And please don't forget your pets. That gallon covers drinking and a little bit for sanitation. It adds up fast, so you really have to plan this part out. So after water, you've got your other core basics. For food, think easy. No cook stuff like protein bars or canned goods are perfect. Your first aid kit should be fully stocked. And trust me, having basic hygiene items like a toothbrush or wet wipes can be a huge morale booster when things are stressful. And most importantly, have at least a week's supply of critical medications and anything you need for a baby or a pet. Next up, tools. A good flashlight with extra batteries is a must because you want to save your phone battery for communication. A hand crank radio is your lifeline to information. It works even when the power's out. A simple whistle is way louder and more effective than shouting if you need help. And, of course, a good multi-tool and some charged-up power banks can be absolute lifesavers. Okay, so you've got your kit packed. That is a huge step, seriously. But having all the right gear without a strategy, well, that's only half the battle. So Section 3 is all about creating your family action plan, which is every bit as important as what's in your bag. Your communication plan really just boils down to 4 steps. 1, pick a relative or friend who lives out of state to be your check-in person. Long-distance lines often work when local ones are jammed. 2, have more than one way to communicate: texting, social media, whatever. 3, make sure everyone has important info and routes written down. And 4, you gotta practice. A plan you never practice is just a piece of paper. This is such a critical part of your plan. Where do you meet up if you get separated? And you actually need 2 spots. The first one should be close to home, like the big oak tree on the corner, for something immediate, like a fire. The second one needs to be outside your neighborhood. Think a local library or a park, in case you can't get back to your street. Okay, your plan needs to cover the 2 big scenarios: getting out or staying put. You evacuate when your location is the problem, like during a wildfire or a flood. You shelter in place when the danger is outside, like in a tornado or a chemical spill. But here's the number 1 rule for both. Always, always listen to what the authorities are telling you to do. So we've covered your personal kit and your family's game plan. Now let's zoom in on the house itself. Section 4 is all about making your home, your safe haven, even safer. This right here is a life skill. Every adult and responsible teen in your home needs to know how to do this. Knowing how to shut off the gas, water, and electricity can stop a bad situation from getting so much worse. Seriously, take 15 minutes this weekend, find each of these shutoffs together, and make sure the tools you need are right there. Now, I'm going to throw a number at you that might just surprise you. 10 years. What is that? Well, that's the absolute maximum lifespan of your typical smoke alarm. After a decade, those sensors inside just aren't reliable anymore. If you have no idea how old yours are, it is definitely time for a replacement. This is such a simple routine, and it literally saves lives. You need detectors for both smoke and carbon monoxide on every level of your house, especially near where people sleep. Test them every month. Change the batteries once a year. A great trick is to do it when you change the clocks for daylight saving. And like we just said, replace the whole unit when it expires. Okay, for our final section, we're going to pull the camera back a bit. We're zooming out from the immediate crisis, because true preparedness isn't just about surviving for a few days. It's about your ability to recover and rebuild. It's about having total resilience. The guide from Virtualization Options LLC really frames this in a powerful way. They talk about 4 pillars of resilience. And I want you to look at the biggest piece of this chart: financial readiness. We tend to focus on the flashlights and water, but your ability to bounce back financially after a disaster is a massive part of recovery, right alongside your emotional health, your cybersecurity, and your community. So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, it's having the right kind of insurance and an emergency savings fund. It's protecting vital documents, your passport, birth certificates, in both a fireproof box and as secure digital copies. It's basic stuff like using strong passwords. And it's also about recognizing that these events are incredibly stressful and having healthy ways to cope as a form of preparation, too. And this final piece of advice from the source material really ties it all together. Being prepared is not a one-time project you check off a list. It's an ongoing process. You practice your plans, you refresh your supplies every so often, and you stay tuned in to your local emergency alerts so you always have the latest information. So, we'll leave you with this. Looking at everything at once can feel like a lot. And if you try to do it all tomorrow, you'll probably just get overwhelmed. So, don't. Just focus on one thing. What is the one small step you can take today? Maybe it's just buying a case of water and putting it in the garage. Maybe it's texting your out-of-state contact right now. Whatever it is, just take that first step. Start the journey. You will be so glad you did.